guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank. Have a happy holiday, hope you did. Let's start it with Nightwing issue 99. So, this issue is pretty much, I don't really quite know what to make of it. So, it starts off with us getting the word of what's going on since Blockbuster's been taken down. A bunch of his associates and whatnot have all been, arrested. About 64 criminals nationwide have been arrested, being part of Blockbuster's, shady machinations. So, okay. But that leaves a power vacuum in Bludhaven. And who shows up but Tony Zuco himself? Now, Tony, for those of you that don't know, is the man responsible for the death of Dick Grayson's parents and is also the official father of, I think her name's Maria. I just don't know, and I don't care. So he's gone to her as the mayor, like, hey, so I'm here to help you out. We can take over this town now because, a Blockbuster's gone. There's a power vacuum, and, we can fill it. We can fill it, and there'll be no problems. And this is an issue, sort of why people like the Penguin and Kingpin are allowed to run through because they help regulate crime. And she's like, no, not playing this game. No, get out. And he's like, well, but I had a plan. We're going to steal some jewels, and they'll give us some cash, and we'll be good to go. And she's like, no, get out. He's like, oh, fine, but you'll be back. Or I'll be back. One of us will be back. And she goes and tells Dick Grayson, like, hey, look, my dad's back. And Dick Grayson's like, oh, that guy. He's in a mood. Like, fine. All right, where's he going? I'll be there. And he's got his own, little henchmen, other people from the circus. So it's kind of messed up. But, it works out. And what they've gone is they've got an access to a place called The Hold. And this is sort of like the underground sort of safety deposit box for criminals and whatnot. And it's sort of understood, hey, you don't come here, you don't come stealing from here. If you do, you're blacklisted, and even worse is going to happen to you. There's certain rules. Honor among thieves here, all right? Check yourself. And they go through, and he shoots the guy watching the place. He shoots actually the guard and the dude watching the place. And he's like, behold, the jewel of Kondak. I'm like, does Black Adam know you took this? Why is it here? Is Kondak looking for this? He's like, it is worth about $4 million. Like, $4 million. I'm like, okay. Like, that's enough to get this started. Penguin took his empire back with $20. So I don't know. Tony Zuko is not that big a guy. Anyway, Dick Grayson comes in like, yeah, I'm stopping this. Like, I don't know who you thought. But anyway, goes through. He takes care of the henchman, and he's in this really interesting moment where he looks like he is going to kill Tony Zuko. And I felt that sort of made sense. Like, there's no one who's taken more from Dick Grayson than Tony Zuko. Like, everything about Dick Grayson's life right now, if you look at it from a negative, everything he's gone through is because Tony killed his parents. That's kind of it. Like, him losing his memory, him serving the Joker that one time, a lot of things in Dick Grayson's life are the way they are. Oh, his sexual assault by Raven is technically because of Tony Zuko. Like, if Dick Grayson wanted, everything bad in my life is because of Tony Zuko. All right, but anyway. Before he can actually say what he's going to do, the criminal element's like, hey, we got the alert, so you can give Tony to us. Nightwing's like, nah, can't. He's a criminal. We take him to jail. Boop, boop, ba-doop. The dude that was shot somehow showed up and like, you know what? He did us a favor. He got the jewel back for us, so he gets to do what he wants with them. Also, sir, you have a box, number 538. There'll be a time when you come. We'll be here. And he walks off. You're like, yeah, plot point. Yeah. And he walks off. And yeah, so Tony's taken to jail. And as if to rub salt in the wound, his daughter's like, I'm no longer a Zuko. I'm a Grayson. It's great. It's great. You're Grayson Lynn, so Grayson for her dad and Lynn for her mom, and she walks out like, the Zuko line ends with you. Get bent, old man. So she goes to like, so how do you feel about me taking your name? Dick Grayson's like, oh, I don't care. Like, you do you, man. It's cool. And we'll show them that we've got other tricks up our sleeve. They think we're weak now. But no, Bludhaven's just getting started. Little does Dick Grayson know, it's already gone to hell, because Heartless is still here, and he's done nothing about Heartless. And that's how the comic ends. ultimately, Nightwing 99 was all right. Does what's supposed to do. I had like an Italian accent planned, but I don't think I've got one set up. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I should have watched more Joe Pesci. I should have. But overall, this was fun. I was hoping Tony Zuko would have made a bigger issue. There should just be more of a dynamic between Nightwing and his half sister, other than I don't want to be my not biological dad. Okay, I'm like, like everyone automatically trusts her? Like, where's the story? Tom Taylor always has like these opportunities for like complicated relationships, and he just doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it. Shame on you, Tom. Stick to deceased. Next, we have Batman vs. Robin issue 4 by Mark Waid, and yeah, this is it. This is the end of it. And honestly, this story is it's all right. It's all right. It depends on how you view a story like this. So the premise of this is really forget Nizar and his plans to beat the snot out of his son. It's a fun parallel between Bruce and Damian. Like, the fact that, Bruce is really trying to, repair damages with his son, and Nizar can't stand the idea of his son showing up and possibly dethroning him. So he's like, no, I'm going to kill this guy. And what's interesting about this is that this whole thing really came about because of the death of another father, Alfred. And this story here doesn't really repair that, but sort of gives closure to it. You sort of see Damian, really, it's not so much his story as it is Bruce coming to terms with it. And this story kind of stumbles through that drama. But to the book's credit, that drama's had over a year to try to resolve itself outside of Mark Waid. And even Batman wearing the helmet of Dr. Fate doesn't quite fix this. I think what really does is the internal dialogue. Waid has Bruce sort of reflecting on what he's done with the Robins as well as Damian. Should he have been more attentive to Jason? Should he have looked after Tim more? Should he have been more open with Tim about the fact that, Tim didn't need him? That, Tim was more than capable of standing on his own. That he should have possibly invested more time and effort in Stephanie, as opposed to really kind of sort of using him to just get back at Tim. But then we found out that's mostly just his guilt. And your guilt is never as honest as it wants to be, especially for someone like Bruce, who still blames himself for the death of his parents. He blames himself at the age of 7 for not stopping a gunman. So he always shoulders those burdens on. And Alfred says, look, you have to stop blaming yourself for my death. All right? I won't have it. All right? I knew what I was getting into. And that also reflects the rest of the Bat family. But Bruce never quite sees that. And so here, when he's unburdening himself, he sort of is able to go into this fight. He's also reflective of his relationship with Damian. I think what I really want is to see Damian reflective of his relationship with Bruce. And I think that's missing. But, it is what it is. We have Batman wearing the helmet of fate. Honestly, what else could I want other than for it actually be good? So I did a better version of this. Oh, not a book. I've never written a comic. But in the old 2008 Versus System game, the good one, not that 2-player one that came back with just Marvel characters, I made Batman Dr. Fate. And it was the most fun thing ever. Oh, it was great. It was great. I'm proud of that deck. And ever since then, there's only one other character I want to make Dr. Fate, but I don't have the cards. I will one day. But anyway, back to the story. We see Batman, using the helmet of fate. The first thing he does, which I really like, is he gets his kids out of there. He gets Tim, Jason, Steph, Dick, all of them off the island because stuff's about to go down. And we saw, okay, what's Batman going to do? Well, Batman doesn't really have a lot of experience with magic. He has very tertiary knowledge of magic. He's like, okay, he may know how certain magics work in terms of what conjuration magic is, the difference between conjuration and exorcism and whatnot. He probably understands the terminology, but doesn't quite have any experience using actual magic. So against this guy who's had magic for eons, there's not much he can do, and the fight goes about as well as you think. But also, fun little moment, Damian and Talia fight Mother Soul, a.k.a. Talia's mother-in-law and no, Talia's grandmother and Damian's great grandmother, and they're like, we're kind of done with this bitch. And Talia wants her to die. Damian's like, no, mom, don't kill great grandma. Great grandma's like, I'm out. And Talia's like, you don't mourn that woman. And Damian's like, I don't even know that woman really. Yeah, but I'm not gonna mourn her either. So they go through. Batman starts to lose the fight. The helmet breaks, ends up in the Lazarus pit or whatever that is. Like, I know this Lazarus pit's here, but I'm not sure if that, like, the magic soup gets a magic like spice bomb, and it's all going to hell now. He tries to kill Damian. Batman's like, no, don't kill my boy. And it goes from there. It's kind of fun. He's dead, by the way. This is like Batman's 4th death since DC Rebirth started. Maybe his 6th since DC New 52? Drop the phone. So, yeah, they're all kind of freaking out. But it's okay. It's okay. His son is here like, hey, Dad, let's talk. And, yeah, he gets the snot bee out of him. But I was like, how are we going to save Batman? It's just so messed up. So much going on. Okay, Black Alice, take that Lazarus Pit stuff, transfer it into him. That might buy some time. He comes back to life. All right, that's not enough. We got to keep going. We got to get off the island. Why? Because if we don't, it's going to blow up. What do you mean it's going to blow up? Oh, it's going to blow up. And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Batman vs. Robin issue 4 is... It's all right. This story has been... It could stand to be a bit more complex, but I get the story. Way to sort of explain why we can't go into Damian's head, because he's dealing with someone who can kind of read most of his thoughts. So he can't afford to be introspective. The issue with Bruce and Alfred's relationship is really the crux, or rather, the father and the son in this dynamic. The father and his children, the father and his family. We've got Nazar. I really think I'm pronouncing that. I keep forgetting his name. Not Trigon. There we go. Not Trigon over here is, he hates his son. He wants to stop his son. He's not willing to even consider liking his son. He screwed over his son. But Bruce wants to have a relationship with his kids, whether it be Damian, Dick, Tim, Jason, Steph, but doesn't quite know how to do it because, in one way or another, he's had a positive and a negative effect on their lives. And I think really at some point, Bruce wants to know that at the end of the day, they don't blame him for it, the life they lead. Because he never wanted them to do this. But half of them wouldn't leave him alone. All right? So he's like, fine, come on. Tim, seriously, get some sleep. Jason, stop being so angry. Steph, just chill for 5 minutes, all right? Just pay attention. Dick, stop ruining women's lives. Damian, just touch grass, all right? That's kind of it. All right? And then Alfred dies, so he feels like he's failed his other dad. So Bruce has already lost 2 dads. All that's left is Jim Gordon now. And if he goes that, he might end his life. I don't know. Overall, though, this is fun. It'll be interesting to see what comes from this. We got the whole idea of the DC universe will never be the same, but every DC event ever has to say that. All right? Gotham City will never be the same with Fear State. Gotham City will never be the same with Joker War. Gotham City will never be the same with Failsafe. Gotham City will never be the same with City of Bane. Amazons will never be the same with... Okay, nothing important happens to the Amazons. Even when one of their own is murdered and there's a trial about it, no one cared. Remember, Darkseid came back in the pages of Wonder Woman, and no one cared. Yeah. And Superman will never look at Metropolis the same way again. The Superman family will never be the same. There's not really a Superman family. They're just a bunch of people wearing an S that don't have much of a relationship to each other. Or at the very least, recent comics haven't bothered to explore it. Like, we've explored every Batman relationship to death, but we don't do much with Superman's, and it's a shame. Same with Wonder Woman. But whatever. Overall, this was fun. I'm kind of looking forward to what's going to come from Lazarus Planet, but at the same time, like, kind of, whatever. Next, we have Stargirl and the Lost Children, issue number 2. So, the thing they're looking for is called the Childminder. So next we have Stargirl and the Lost Children, issue 2. So I totally forgot that the thing that's supposed to be introduced here is the Childminder, which is supposed to be the big bad of this story. But overall, this story here is pretty straightforward in that it really is just about the legacy of sidekicks. all right, and how they're kind of forgotten. In Green Arrow's cave, we see the legacy of heroes and the sidekicks, and we sort of reflect on the fact that no one really cares when the sidekicks go away. Like, there's no attempts to look for them because sidekicks either do one of two things. They're basically child stars. They'll either get their own spin-off series or they'll fade into obscurity. Then actually, when they get the spin-off series, they usually fade into obscurity. But, like, how many successful sidekicks do you know in comics? I think I'm going to keep talking about this every time an issue comes out, which is actually really stupid because I won't have anything new to say. But really think about the child star aspect. You know, there's some child stars that were like the cream of the crop. All right, then they did nothing else after that, and then no one cared. Like, where are they now? Oh, they just have a family. All right, cool. But Emiko sort of relates to this idea of being forgotten because, and I just found this out reading this book, Emiko was forgotten. She was lost on an island, and no one knew about her. No one looked for her. And part of her wants to talk about this with Ollie, but she just knows Ollie would feel bad because, you know, he didn't go look for her. But as she points out, Ollie never knew about her. So, yeah, she feels like she'd be giving an undue burden to him. You know, so there's that. But at the same time, is that true of all the other sidekicks? Are there other issues that they have that they never got to resolve with their mentor? And I love this page here, how it goes with Emiko talking about her issues and then it coming forward with Wing on the other side of it. Love it. This was a brilliant panel. Love it. And Courtney, who's not a sidekick, like Courtney is following the legacy of the first kid superhero. So the adult's her sidekick. But at the same time, they both also fell into a degree of obscurity. But, you know, in Courtney's mind, well, we're just going to have to help find all of them, figure out what happened to them. And I think that's sort of Courtney's best trait is her optimism and her desire to sort of, you know, make things right if she can. And then they go like, hey, so here are the ones that are currently missing. You know, who they were, who they were up to be, when they went missing, so on and so forth. And ultimately, they're like, all right, let's go out to sea, to the triangle. And as you do whenever you go to any triangle in the ocean, you're attacked. You see, like, a super comes out, get out! It's out. It's Airwave, the sidekick. And then they get struck. The boat gets struck down. They all start flailing under the water. They come out. Oh, those pictures are gone. And they wash up on an island where it's noted that the sand here is similar to the substance that Our Man uses. So that's interesting. So someone involved either has connection to Our Man or the JSA. And then they're attacked by egg carriers. Oh, wait. Are those the egg things from the Jimmy Neutron movie? Oh, that is a horrible thing to take inspiration from. But anyway. Stargirl's trying to get her cosmic staff. We're like, work. It's not working. Lives are at stake here. It needs to work. They take Emiko. I'm like, oh, they didn't take Courtney, but they took Emiko. It's after sidekicks. So there we go. There's a plot sort of coming back in. And they go off with her, but it's okay. Wing and Airwave and two people I don't know. One's a mechanical dog. Is here to say, we're here to help. And the dog's like, you know, we have not been able to help at all. Like, period, since this whole thing started. And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Nightwing, good lord. So Stargirl issue 2 was fun. There was a lot of heart to this issue with the concept of Emiko. Like, why should I invest in Emiko? This issue did. This issue really helped get me invested in Emiko. I still barely read Green Arrow. This will not endear me to do it. But, you know, maybe. I've got, like, I think 3 Green Arrow runs. I just haven't had the time to read them. Or the desire to. And with that other project we're doing, I don't think we'll have the time to. Although, could Ollie be one to do it? I don't know. Anyway. So I think the best scene is still just Emiko. The scene with Emiko and Courtney in Green Arrow's Arrow Cave, or the Quiver as it's called in Injustice. And, you know, hearing her talk about how it feels to be forgotten, and this whole generation of sidekicks, this whole era of sidekicks that no one talks about or even cares about, I think was really great. And juxtaposing that to what happened with Wing is also really cool. Overall, though, this was really great. And finally, the complicated story of the hour, Dark Crisis issue 7. So we're just going to let this one play in the background because I just can't with this story. Ugh. So anyway, Dark Crisis issue 7 comes to an end here. And ultimately, I'm kind of glad that it's done. It's just... So the premise here was just... everyone comes back. Everyone comes here like, all right, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Put a kibosh on this. The Flash family shows up, ready to mess some stuff up, and we see Emiko, Dr. Light, coming in with her powers from the light of the multiverse to take out the Dark Army. Like, everyone has a solution to the problem here. And so it's all really condensed with Deathstroke. And the cool thing about it is this now becomes an almost pseudo-intellectual conversation about the nature of darkness and what to do with it, how it affects you. And that is sort of like where it sort of falls apart. At the same time, though, you kind of feel that this story just doesn't quite have the wherewithal to keep going. It's sort of sad when you think about it. But ultimately, it's a series of great images. And really, the reason Deathstroke is doing all of this is because he knows what this Earth, what this continuity, what this universe turns you into. It turns you into someone like him. He's like, I don't want to be me. I don't want to live in a world that creates things like me, because look what I've done to my kids. All right? He's like, they have to, like, I'm going to put an end to generational trauma now by killing everybody. And I'm like, you have sort of missed the idea of trying to heal from generational trauma. So, yeah, that's kind of it. It's like if you took Infinite Crisis and just, while this other story was going on, just sort of stop it with a conversation. Like, if Superman and Superboy Prime have a conversation, or if Superman and Darkman hadn't had that conversation while all these fights are going on, it just sort of takes away from it. But also, what really takes away from it is the fact I don't understand the state of the DC universe as it goes on. Like, as cool as the scene is where Black Adam uses his powers to give everyone Shazam powers, which is actually really cool. I love it. It's really great. Everyone looks awesome. And of course, we was trying to see the idea of Black Adam's story and his character arc, but even then, it doesn't quite feel like it has any real weight to it. Like, even with the idea of the multiverse being purified in light, as if it takes away the corruption of the Great Darkness, I still don't quite get it. Maybe I've missed something. Like, I'm not above saying, hey, I've missed this, or I don't get it. I get what Williamson's trying to tell here about bringing the multiverse back and the concept of darkness and its pervasiveness. What is the Great Darkness in this sense? I don't quite get it. Like, I know it's always existed, but what is it here? Pariah's like, I gotta get everything back to the way it used to be, to my personal Earth. And okay, so we're looking at what, a love and nostalgia, wanting to get things back the way they used to be, and it turns out you're just being manipulated by what? The darkness? By what? Negative emotions, a dislike of things. So we're taking the Young Justice Dark Crisis approach. Like, things were actually better then, but for Pariah they were. It was his family, his wife and child. Surprisingly, his life was better when his family was alive. Crazy. I don't get that. Or are we trying to say that what's going on here in Dark Crisis is that Deathstroke is trying to get rid of a story he doesn't like because of this bad part of the story? It all has to go. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know anyone who said that. Or is Deathstroke supposed to be like a bigger idea? It represents every bad story. Every time something bad happens in the DC universe that has negative connotations, DC's so quick to reboot it. So by bringing the multiverse back, we're saying, no, it's still here. But didn't we basically do that with the first Dark Knight's Metal, and then Death Metal, and then Doomsday Clock? Effectively, have we not told this story for the fourth time? Fifth time, if we count just DC Rebirth in general. 6 times if we count New 52. 7 times if we count Convergence. Alright? So pretty much New 52, since Flashpoint Paradox, is we just gone like, hey, redo, but we hit the button just ever so slightly. And this entire story really is just Infinite Crisis. How do I know? Because not only is Deathstroke here to have a story with Nightwing, which is also it, there's this idea that Deathstroke thinks he knows what's best. His Earth was like, this Earth is better. Nightwing is also the shining beacon for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I missed the Nightwing hype train. Maybe I just did. I just don't get it. A bunch of people jumping Deathstroke also happened in Infinite Crisis. So, it's just weird. We also sort of stop him like we stopped the Earth 2 Superman of Infinite Crisis. Then, as if to make it even funnier, also I like this page here, Bruce and Damian seem to be patching things up, so I'm not sure when this happened. Did this happen like before the events of Batman versus Robin, during the events, after the events. Like, it's weird. The JSA come back to the Brownstone. Their table is still here. I expect another JSA book after Johns leaves DC. All right. The Titans go back to their destroyed Titans Tower because Titans Academy was a stupid idea. Dr. Light apparently said, screw her kids. I'm going to go explore my powers some more. Apparently, Green Arrow went missing, and once again, I didn't care. And Roy and Donegan looking for him. The what is it? The Quintessence have like formed their council again. All right, we were of no help in any of these events. You know this, right? Like, we were not help with Perpetua and the Dark Army. We were of no help with this one here. We just keep getting killed. we gotta get better at our job. Like, from now on, we're gonna workshop this, and we're gonna not suck at our job from now on. Darkseid's back. Woo! Say what you want about Dark Army Darkseid. All he did was stand there and get pushed around. And now this one's gonna stand here plotting, just like the Snyder Cut. We'll use the old ways. But then we get to this other thing from Infinite Crisis, where Batman's like, the Justice League is dead. Oh yeah, we failed. We totally botched it. So we, the founding members, the one that, you know, is always on. It's on the lunch boxes and the cover titles, you know, the ones that sell the book. We're going to go off on our own, rediscover what it means to be the Justice League. And yeah, so maybe we'll see another 52 story. And maybe they'll have the goal to actually see it through. But, I don't know. He's like, Nightwing, you can handle it now. You can actually, you know, keep all this bad stuff from happening again. And he's like, I got some ideas. And he goes off. Ultimately, like I said, this is not a successor to Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is like a successor to Infinite Crisis. A poor successor to Infinite Crisis. And really, I'm not going to blame Joshua Williamson for this. Although there is some blame. The biggest issue is the state of the DC universe. And the fact that DC wanted to use a Crisis event to fix it. Really, we didn't need a Crisis event. We just needed some event to really sort of like, okay, here's where we are. And everyone let's just sort of get back. All right? But we didn't do that. So if you look at where the DC universe was after the events of Death Metal or Doomsday Clock, whichever one you want to be your inciting incident, the DC universe was in a weird spot. And the big issue to me seems to be Future State and the removal of Dan DiDio or the firing of Dan DiDio, whichever one. Either way, he's not here anymore. So Future State seemed to be the idea of ushering a new era of superheroes. In other words, a new Batman, a new Superman, a new Wonder Woman, you know, Yara Flor, Tim Fox, and John Kent. So we should have had stories which take them out. Future State did that. Future State said, hey, Wonder Woman's off doing this thing, which doesn't really make much sense. You know, our Batman has been deposed by the magistrate and Gotham City is a police state. Superman's gone off to Apocalypse to liberate World. So this new generation has to step up. The problem is, none of that seemed interesting because there were like better choices for takeover for Batman that weren't Tim Fox, better choices to take over for Wonder Woman that weren't Yara Flor, and none of these stories really grasped people. None of these stories like, okay, I want to see this. But I think that was the problem, is that DC sort of like copped out on Future State. Future State should have had its highest, best writers on it and said, okay, we are going to sell these heroes and sell the story, which will eventually end in their failure. They will be unable to carry the torch. And Nightwing will sort of be the key to trying to fix this damage as a big crisis has come. You know, you could even say that the reason that you can even still have what happened in Dark Crisis, where the superheroes were taken out by the Great Darkness and, you know, trapped in a little world, which also was a bad idea. Ultimately, though, I think this event just sort of lacks any proper planning and any resolve to really put their best foot forward. Was the fan base too hard on the concept of Future State? Probably. But they also didn't incentivize anyone to really get on board with it. There weren't a lot of stellar writers on these books. And they didn't feel like there was much of a plan. Even more so, you didn't commit to it by, you know, because even like, oh, okay, Batman's gone. No, he's not. He's right there. Superman's gone. No, he's not. He's right there. Wonder Woman's gone. No, they're all right there. So yeah, ultimately, this is an alright story. I think it'll be looked back. I think it'll be looked more fondly in the future. But overall, kind of forgettable. So anyway, with that in mind, this brings me to a close. If you're new to the Bucket Content, feel like, comment, share, subscribe. Hope you have a happy holiday, and may your fandom serve you well.